Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Say Report. I'm your host, Devon Decker, and joining me, my host companion, Sejohn Sarowick. How you doing, Sejohn?
I'm doing great, Dev. I got a little bit of deja vu, but I think I'm all right.
Actually, if you have any deja vu, that didn't happen today. I never did that part, did I? Oh, God. Should I reference the bullshit that I recorded that was like, this is no good? What is wrong with me, Sejohn? What the hell is... Let's talk about Super Mario Bros. Wonder Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. Let's just try to start off with something fun. This is a show about everything, people. This is the everything today. It's weird that rather than have a new game to release the Friday before the Super Mario Bros. Galaxy movie, they just kind of re-release Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Like, that's the first thing that I have to just say out loud.
I mean, I will say this. I think the act of even having something tied to the date is pretty unique these days. You know, it's not like back in the 90s where every movie was going to get its Super Nintendo cart, and so that needed to be on shelves before the movie actually even came out, right? Like, that just doesn't exist anymore. They don't make those IP-based movie games like they used to. You know, right. So like the fact that they thought to tie anything to it is actually kind of interesting. I don't know if there's anything particularly thematic other than it being Mario, right? But because like unless I don't know much about the DLC, but the add-on stuff that they put in, I mean, unless you go to space a lot, I don't know exactly what it's going to be referencing as far as Super Mario Galaxy.
You actually kind of go to the past. The thematic thing, and this comes from. I mean, the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which I believe is the official title of this film, is the closest we get to 90s marketing of a film in a real long time. They have the Happy Meal toys that started last Monday, as opposed to 12 months ago. Like, remember when Captain America Brave New World had toys, and then the movie didn't release for a full year and a half until after those came out? And some of the figures that were, toys that were represented ended up not being characters in the movie, or not being the designs of the characters. Like, that's not what happened with this one. Like, the Super Mario Galaxy movie, they have the McDonald's toys. You can go get the Happy Meal and get the blind box toys. I'm very much hoping to find a Birdetta. I haven't yet. I have Mario, Luigi, and Peach. But the fourth figure who seems to be out in the wild is, he has a 3 under the box, and it's Wonder Bowser Jr. And that, very much his design, is what Bowser Jr. looks like in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, the numerous times that you fight him. So, like, there is weird tie-in to character designs that were introduced in Super Mario Wonder within the Super Mario Galaxy movie. So there's at least that. But, yeah,
Yeah, well, I do know that, like, Nintendo is kind of going through, like, a little bit of a stealth rebranding. It's not that stealthy once you kind of see it, but like, you know, like, Donkey Kong is a very perfect example of this. When the first Super Mario Brothers movie came out, and the shift that they made to make the Donkey Kong in that movie look more like the Donkey Kong in the past, and thus that's also what he started to look like in his own game and things like that. And a lot of that was like, you know, pulling away from the rarefication of a Nintendo IP, trying to kind of like, you know, right their ship in some ways. Not that it was in any like really like danger. Like, it's not like Rare was knocking down the door to sue them for Donkey Kong or something stupid like that. Like, but you know, Nintendo, they have been shifting towards kind of solidifying some certain ideas, right? And so like I can totally see them wanting to artistically tie Wonder to the new movie, like 100%.
Oh yeah. And, I mean, also from the original Super Mario Brothers movie is the fact that Donkey Kong is now officially Cranky's son, as opposed to Cranky being his grandfather, and Donkey Kong Jr. being Donkey Kong the Third's father. Like, that whole thing that they're like, no, don't forget that Rare said that. And yet, as they try to de-rarify Donkey Kong, they keep him in that fucking tie, which honestly feels like the biggest thing that Rare did for the character was get him a 9-to-5 office job where he was required to wear a tie.
If you take the tie off of him, he's not Donkey Kong anymore. Like, that's the thing, right? Is like you think of Donkey Kong, I think of the tie. Like, you could have bet money against me and probably won because I would have thought he had the tie in the original game, and I just sat down and watched King of Kong this week, so I have no excuse. It's been an interesting move on Nintendo's part to try and kind of reclaim some identity, right? And be responsible for kind of its own stuff in-house. In a rare Nintendo win, I think that they're really being smart about some of the moves that they're making right now with the plates that they currently have spinning. You could say whether or not they should have other plates spinning, or maybe they should have dropped a few plates already. But like what they've got going, they are very focused on, and they seem to be firing on all cylinders at the moment. So
yeah, I mean, but the real problem that I have with the Super Mario Galaxy movie right now, and then we'll get to the actual game that came out that weirdly has sort of a tie-in. Like, it feels like we released this game the Friday before, the Thursday before, because now Nintendo does Thursday releases of their games, is the fact that, like, I just want to see the fucking movie at this point. I bought my tickets the day they were available. I am very excited to see it on release date. I don't need any more marketing to spoil this film for me.
Yeah.
Like, that is, it feels like...
I mean, but in that case, then, like, the Wonder DLC might be the perfect thing then, right? Because it allows you to get your Mario fix without it doing anything like that, right? It's not going to ruin your experience of the movie, but it is going to be more Mario.
Exactly. And it looks gorgeous. Like, let's just get that elephant, go fuck yourself, Devon, out of the room. Oh, yeah, they turned into elephants in this one. I forgot about that. I hate myself, Sejohn. I'm so sorry. It's gorgeous. Like, it really does look so beautiful in the 4K. And unlike something with, like, the Switch 2 edition of Mario Party Jamboree, everything seems to have gotten that 4K, like, bump up. And not just the new material, like in Bella Bell Park. Which is great. It looked awesome. And having Rosalina there is pretty cool. I don't know how I feel about Luma as a character. We didn't mess around with Luma at all because we wanted to... Like, first of all, like most of these Nintendo Switch 2 edition DLCs, it is not available from the beginning. You have to get to a certain point in the game in order to unlock it. And for Super Mario Bros. Wonder, that means having the first 3 levels are cleared, and then you also needed, like, I think one more than you would have Wonder Seeds if you were just, like, clearing the levels. So you need to have collected all of the Wonder Seeds and things like that. It's like, it's either 6 or 7. Fuck me. I hate myself. I feel like I'm a meme machine right now. It's either 6 or 7 Wonder Seeds that you need to unlock the new site that shows up in that first sort of open area desert in World 1 of Mario Wonder to go to Bella Bell Park. And then you go in there, you find a Toad researcher, right? Like it's a Poplin researcher, sorry. They've introduced a bunch of new Poplin characters. Researcher Poplin, who's like, I'm exploring these ruins that I found. The only way to get to what I found at the heart of the ruins is to take this minecart ride. And so you get in the minecart and this gorgeous cutscene plays where you are attacked by the Koopalings. And the Koopalings, they attack you, and then they steal 7 of the treasures of Bella Bell Park, and then they all try to steal the 8th one, but at this point, you're out of the minecart. You've collected... There's a new power-up. Did you know that there's a new power-up that comes along with the DLC? This is a real question that I need to ask you.
That you can bring to other levels, or that only works within the DLC world?
So you can bring to other levels. I was starting to get sick of the power-up, because it's, like, overpowered in everything that it does to you. It gives you a projectile, it gives you a higher jump, and it gives you, like, a float mechanic. Like, it's just one too many things.
Is it a chicken
for
suit?
A power up to do. It's a chicken suit in everything but execution. Like, just straight up, you getting excited that it might be a chicken suit. It's a flower pot mushroom. And when you pick it up, you put on a plant suit, basically. And you can generate flowers that fly up vertically. You can jump, and then you do the Yoshi, like, float jump to keep going. So you get a little bit of extra height from that. And then if you hold the jump button, you flap your little, I don't even know what they're called.
What a missed opportunity. They could have just made it a Yoshi suit, and it would have been so fucking cute for everybody to put on Yoshi suits, and then you could still do the projectile. You could still do the, with the tongue move, or if you wanted to have Mario lay eggs, but that's a whole corner of the internet you don't want to open up. But make it a Yoshi suit. Give him the float. Give him the high jump. Give him the like all of that shit. Like, it would have been such a great, like, easy step. Why does it need to be this weird ass fungus mushroom? I mean, fungus plant again. Like, what with the.
Yeah, it's I'm not sure. You kind of look like, it kind of feels like you're Petey the Piranha, but you have a poplin headdress that is like like a poplin in bloom, not one of the bud ones. And you're given that, and then you fight all of the Koopalings.
And the poplins, just to remember, are like the daisy looking dudes with like the petals around their heads, right? Like, they were major baddies in Super Mario World 3 Yoshi's Island, right?
No, those are poppies. Poplins are a new race that are introduced in Super Mario Brothers Wonder, because you're in the Flower Kingdom instead of the Mushroom Kingdom.
Right,
and they're the toads of the Flower Kingdom, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have the petals like around your face. You're not like the I'm missing my berries guy from Vine. You have a flowered like crown that is on top of them. And it's weird. Ooh. Like, it's I mean, it's interesting, but it's like, it overstayed its welcome, because I went to Bellabelle Park, and then we'll get there. So you get this, and you have to fight the Koopalings in a fight for the big treasure of Bellabelle Park, using the flower suit.
Love. Oh, sorry.
It's actually just a giant bell that creates Bellabelle water. Dale called it a whole new game, but it's really just like a whole new mechanic. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about it. Like, we had fun doing the co-op and everything. The fight against the Koopalings is very cool, because I don't know if you have to use the flowers to damage them, but it almost kind of felt like a shmup, where like you're running below them, throwing the flowers, and that's how you're damaging them. Like,
oh yeah, man.
Neither Dale
I do like the Bowser fight in the vanilla game, but I did find that I wanted it more than just that. Like, it's not that I didn't like what was there, but I wanted, like, a couple more like iterations, or maybe another Bowser battle or something. I don't know. There was something about the final boss there that was a little bit of a bummer. So I'm glad to hear that this one is as cool as it is, because conceptually I really like the Bowser fight. It's just not enough for me.
It's not the type of fight you want to redo over and over again. It reminds me of the fight from Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island against Bowser at the end. Like, it's a cool fight, but it's also a fight of hurry up and wait. And that is what the Bowser fight in Wonder feels like. And when I was watching like speed runs of it, like, by the time they got to the Bowser fight, I'm like, this is not fun. Watching them fight Bowser is not fun. Because it's just what it is. But now that is an interesting question, because you could essentially bring the flower pot mushroom into that Bowser fight, and I wonder if you could damage him with the flowers that you generate. Dang it, Super Mario Wonder Nintendo Switch 2 edition, meet up in Bellabelle Park. You got me all questioning things. No, I'm actually really excited.
I think that this is a really interesting move on Nintendo's part. I know a lot of people are going to feel the same way about, like, why is there not just a new game, and why does it feel like everything on the Switch is just like a re-release, or Switch 2, I mean, is just re-release of stuff. But I am, as somebody that does not have my hands on it, extremely jealous, right? Like, so, like, they're doing something right, because I am now, like, trying to figure out in my head what I need to do to get my hands on this thing.
I mean, well, last night on Woot, they had the Nintendo Switch 2 for $400. As if to be
Holy
like,
crap.
oh my God, they're going to raise the price on the Nintendo Switch 2 because Nintendo admitted that, like, we have to raise the price on this system, which is crazy considering that, like, by all accounts, the Nintendo Switch 2 is not really the, like, system seller that they were hoping it is. And the last time they had that on their hands with the Nintendo 3DS, they lowered the price $100. But with the Switch 2, with the chip shortages and all that, we have to raise the price. I'm not sure what that amount is. We should actually look that up. If you wouldn't mind looking that up while I tell a little bit more of what happens before you can
what
even
the price
play.
difference with the Switch 2?
Yeah, because they said that they're going to have to raise the price, and I don't know what that's supposed to be. So then once you beat the Koopalings, you're allowed entrance into what is the bulk of Bellabelle Park, which is local game modes, multiplayer games, and then online only games, which is kind of a disappointment to me that all of the games cannot be played in local co-op. I believe, we didn't test it out because we just didn't have time to, that I could have used my Switch and Dale used her Switch 2 or even a Switch 1, and we could have created a local game room and played all of those other games. But then that requires a second system, even if it is an older Switch system. So, like, that kind of, it's just like more steps. And it's easier steps than when it was trying to play, like, the original Mario Brothers arcade game as part of the Mario Advance titles. But it's still just like, I just want to play the game. I got people together for couch co-op. Why can't I do all of the games in couch co-op?
Yeah. So I am actually seeing that there's a lot of people saying that they're expecting Nintendo to do it. Even Nintendo is saying, like you said, that they may have to. But I'm actually not seeing anything about an actual number.
Okay, no
yet.
confirmed price. That's good. I think it's just that Nintendo had said we're probably going to have to raise the price on the Switch 2, and that's what launched a million like thumbnails on YouTube about
there's
the
a
price.
shit ton of stories
Yeah.
of people talking about like what would like, oh, this will be the death of Nintendo if they have to do this. Remember when they it's like, okay. Yeah. So they clearly something's in the water, and you know where there's smoke there's fire. With a lot of this sort of stuff, when you start to see even the bullshit articles about it, it means that something's coming. And so I would not be surprised if it is a price increase. I mean, we can talk all we want about chip values and shit like that, but I mean, at the end of the day, America is not in a great place with our fellow earthly inhabitants, as it were. So, like, I'm fuck us, right? Like, I'm not saying like good, do it. I'm saying like I can understand the attitude of like, yep, we're you guys want to play the tariff game, you guys want to play the international politics game and fail at it. Then let's go ahead and play. And like raising the price on shit like Nintendo consoles is a hell of a kick in the nuts to a lot of the culture of America.
Well said, Sejohn. That's all I can say is well said. Yeah, it really is something else. But yeah, so you get into the park and you have about 12 games that can be played co-op. I'm actually trying to remember because like even though there's only like 8 spots that you can go, there are different variations on the games that go there. So it's actually probably even a little bit more than 12 because there's one where, like you use bubbles to shoot each other into walls of lava that are on the sides of the screen. But then that can also be played with zap rods where you throw lightning rods and you try to catch your friends and kill them when lightning hits the lightning rods and not kill yourself. Like, so those are fun, like those challenges. The one that I had the most fun with is like Phanto Tag. So like the little mask from Mario Brothers 2, one of you has that stuck on you and they're it.
Oh no.
And the whole idea is...
so it's kind of like King of the Hill. What are they used to call that something different in Tony Hawk, but there was okay, cool. Yeah, it's tag though, right?
So it's tag. It's essentially tag. But eventually, so when you have the mask on, you can throw like tag missiles and tag people from a distance, and they don't go forever. But it is like an idea of like, this person's in front of you. You don't need to touch them. You have a little projectile to hit them with. But the other people who are like hiding, they can shift their form into something that's in the level. And there's a moment where like the lights go down and you can't really see anybody, like what's moving around. So if you can track your character that's supposed to be like hiding from Phanto, you can get somewhere, shift to a background thing, and if you don't touch your controller, you're pretty much into clear. It was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. Like all of the versus stuff was pretty cool. Like we wasted about 2 hours playing through that. The co-op stuff, because there are 4 co-op challenges, are less
you remember that
cool.
that Wii U Nintendo
Land?
Park or Nintendo Land?
The packing
this
game.
feels like some of that sort of shit.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the co-op games, because 2 of them I will never fucking play again. And 2 of them I think are pretty great, though I don't really want to play one of them again, but that's just because we got into a bit of an argument about it. Because Dale got a little... Alright, and then there's one that honestly I want to speedrun the mode. I think it is... Of the things that have been added to Super Mario Wonder Switch 2 Edition, it is the most ripe for, like, being used in speedrun, like, applications, which is very cool. So the first 2 co-ops that I'm never going to touch again are Coin Collector and Jump Count. And then between however many people are playing, you have to collect the exact amount of coins that you're told at the beginning of the level, no more, no less. However, there is no indicator to show you how many coins you have collected. So, like, you have to be counting along and that, and it's just like, it was so friggin' stressful to play through that thing where, like, I don't want to collect coins anyway. But now I need to be hyper conscious about something that I never think about in Mario games anymore. And I have to be hyper conscious about the ones that, like, the people I'm playing with collect. No, thank you. Just no, thank you. And
How dare they try and create replayability by shifting the ways in which you view the very product you've always owned.
I'm not mad about them finding a way to create replayability. I'm sure some people will have a ball with it. It is not for me. It was suddenly... I do not play video games to feel stressed out. And I tell you, Sejohn, I felt stressed out playing the coin collecting game. The jump one, where you can do no more than the amount of jumps that they tell you to do. That one was a little bit more fun until we got to the end of it. So it's like, all right, anytime you jump, we're going to count, right? We had to do 42 jumps was the number of jumps you have to do in the very first level that this gives you. So I jump 1, Dale jumps 2. So anytime you jump, you add it to the count. We got to the end of the level with like 15 jumps. So right before the flagpole, I had to sit there jumping, counting up to 40. And then I'm like, all right, Dale, now jump and grab the flagpole. Now I will jump and grab the flagpole. That's 42 jumps. And I think the one that bothered me about that was the fact that this is how every run of this is going to be. Is like getting to the end of the level and then like how many more jumps do we need to spam before we finish?
So can you play through worlds that way, or is it like specifically just one level designed to do this? Like, is it a level that is like if you are going to replay it a bunch of times, right? I mean, in theory, like how variable is it? And like, is it like you could sit down for like a half an hour and really have some fun with somebody? Because like, I mean, you're just talking about a co-op mode, and it really is a cooperative experience, right? Like it's you have to work together and talk, because if your fucking buddy is running around and jumping off or like a dick, like you're gonna be in trouble, right? And if there's like a moment where like, hey, I don't know how to do this kind of jump, well, you better fucking learn, because we got to do it in one. We don't have the jumps left to do the rest.
Yeah.
The coin collecting one sounds really rad too, because the thing about both of these is what they are really encouraging is learning your lines, right? Like as like in terms of speed running, right?
Yeah.
If you start to memorize within levels, and it is a memorization thing at this point, but if you start to memorize in levels the path that you need to be taking in order to kind of hit certain things, because with the coin one, you need a certain amount beforehand. Well, you know that certain boxes are going to give you 5 coins and certain boxes are going to give you 10, and that rarely is a chain. Like it is one or the other. You know that there's always going to be groups, usually in 3 or 4 of coins, so you need to just kind of mark out where those are, and then you basically learn a very specific path to get that number of coins. And the same thing with the jump, right? You learn a very specific path for you to get through it. And if you're with somebody that, I mean, like, can you play these alone, or do you have to be in a co-op mode for these?
I think you have to be in co-op for them. I don't know. I don't think they have. I didn't try it. I had somebody who was willing to go through all of the local multiplayer stuff with me yesterday, so I took full advantage of that.
Yeah, but it makes it even harder because you're not just learning your line, right? They have to also learn there, and you have to work together. This sounds awesome.
Well, and you know what? This is the beauty of like gaming and gamers and things like that, because your approach to the coin thing was so different from mine. I like counted up until we had the amount of coins, and then it's like, all right, now the name of the game is avoid fucking coins. Like that, like I mean,
that's a way to do it. Yeah, there's no. Yeah, I mean that also is but I can also understand why then you were feeling so fucking stressed,
right?
Because if you were like, okay, now I can't touch a single coin, it becomes a whole new ball game there. Yeah,
yeah, and it also was stressful because, like I said, I will always harken back to when I was playing Super Mario World on the cruise ship, and the Magic Bob Brizendine was watching me, and he's like, so I'm watching you play this game, and I notice you don't seem to care about points or coins. And I'm like, yeah, no, I care about finishing the level. All that other stuff, that's not part of the game as far as I'm concerned. Getting from the start of the level to the end of the level is what this game has become for me. So, like, it had made me hyper aware of something that I have probably not given thought to till that night in the daily basement where one of them challenged me to see who could beat Super Mario World faster. Like...
Oh, man. Yeah, no, Mario World is one of those ones, World specifically is one of those ones that I don't really know if I've ever cared about point value, right? Like at least on something like Donkey Kong or Donkey Kong Jr., like on the arcade cabinet, like yes, you're trying to get a high score, so right. Like going for point stuff is important. But as far as like home console stuff goes, like I don't know, Zach and I, what it is that Zach and I would have been the only ones in true competition with each other on that kind of board, right? Like it's very rare that I had like friends coming over for lengthy periods to put scores on my Nintendo games. But like with that in mind, Zach and I were never really that competitive with each other. Also, we kind of play a lot of different games from each other. Like we do like the same stuff, but he is much more prone to sit down and play a game for 3 hours that's really story in depth, and me, I'm looking for something more like Meat Boy or Mario, right? So it just never was bred into us, I guess, So yeah. Like the point value thing has always been weird in Mario for me.
Well, I remember Super Mario Brothers DX, the Game Boy Color remake of the original Super Mario Brothers game. Do you recall that one?
Yeah.
So that game, in order to unlock things, it was tied to your score. And that was the first time that I ever became like aware of my score in Super Mario Brothers. And I now know that like it was 100,000 points in order to unlock Boo mode, like the mode where you raced against the boos in that, and then it was 500,000 in order to unlock the lost levels. I might have those two flopped, but like those were the big numbers, and I'm like, okay, so by the time you get through the first world, just playing the game, like without like any sort of coin grind or anything, you should have 100,000 points, right? 4 levels generally equal 100,000 points. So then when it came to getting the 500,000 points, I'm like, I can get that by like 5-2. Like if I'm making sure I get fireworks on if I get 6 fireworks on every clear of every level, if I'm getting the top of the flagpole on everything, this is it. And I actually remember doing that line so that I could unlock, because I really wanted to play Lost Levels. I'm like, I really want to play the Lost Levels. Like that being a portable experience seems like the best way to experience those. And it was, because it,
didn't the DX version bring in some of the Lost Levels like physics and stuff too? Am I misremembering that?
I think in some of the modes, really where that started to shine was in the advanced games. So DX was pretty much like a 1-to-1 sort of remake of Super Mario Brothers. It had the squash screen, and it added like little like world maps between the levels and things like that, but pretty much it was a faithful recreation. If you did play the Lost Levels, then Luigi did have the like floaty jump physics that he has in Lost Levels. And I don't know if it added, because the other big thing from Lost Levels is that if you jump on a turtle, you get extra height. And honestly, it's been so long since I've played Super Mario Brothers.
Well, and it's famously like a little slippery, right? Compared to Mario.
Yeah,
the original Super Mario Brothers. There's like a little bit of a slippy physics to like your landings and stuff that you really have to kind of adjust for. It's one of those things where it's almost imperceptible, but if you're really good at Super Mario Brothers and then you go to play Lost Levels and suddenly you're not making jumps the way you thought you were going to, like you can't figure out why. It's because like there's like this little bit of movement every time you land, like that sort of thing. There's like weird little physics bits to the Lost Levels.
Yeah. Especially as Luigi. Luigi specifically, they coded to be even more slippery. So I don't know if Mario has that. I mean, I did my whole deep dive into Lost Levels the like month before Super Mario Wonder came out in 2023. So, and I loved the game. I fell in love with the game, and I'm just like, this is such a good game, even for being like a troll experience. But like once you start to understand the Lost Levels of Super Mario Brothers 2 Japan, I don't know why I said it like that. There's a lot to love there. There is a lot to love there. But it was with the advanced games that like Super Mario Brothers Advance 2, playing as Luigi meant having the floaty jump, the slippery physics. He interacted with Yoshi differently. He interacted with his cape a little bit differently. And then that got pulled forward into the Super Mario Brothers Advance 4, which was the remake of Super Mario Brothers 3, where like Luigi played different there as well. Sorry. So those are those two. So again, like I don't really think about those things, and that's how we approach them. And we're like, it was stressful. Maybe I'd go back to it if I were looking for something, but not excited about it. The other two co-op experiences, one is called Donut Block Maker. And in that game, one person draws donut blocks and the other person moves around. And it's kind of fun, but like I forget that Dale is not me. So like I was leaving like one space between my donut blocks, because if you're running, that's not going to be a problem. But she'd walk and then just like walk off. She's like, why did you leave that space there? And I'm like, I thought it wouldn't be a problem. I'm sorry. Why are you not running? Why are you just walking everywhere? The fun that one was fun when Dale was the person doing the donut blocks. Because there was a moment where I like misjumped and I'm like, oh, I'm screwed. Let me see if I can keep myself alive. And I did. And she legitimately was able to catch me on a donut block that she drew. And that was
what is that called cool. What is it called when you're in a co-op mode and it's lopsided, like it's like a 4-to-1 or something like that? There's a term
asynchronous.
For it, right? Yeah, so that's almost like a mechanically desynchronous co-op, which is which is I think not unique because like I can think of like the Rayman Origins and Legends games have kind of that in the co-ops. You can, especially if you had like the Wii U one, I think,
Oh yeah.
because you could touch like the stuff on the screen and stuff to move like platforms around. But and you're also trying to do that speedrun thing, right? But what it's actually making me think of that's really interesting is there's been like a real big shift in at least a lot of the gaming YouTube I watch to have groups of streamers, you know, two at least, more often more, and everybody's responsible for a different mechanic. And so like one of you is the one that presses forward, one of you is the one that presses jump, one of you is the one that presses attack. And so like good luck getting through, and like watching people try and do those kinds of desynchronous runs together is it feels like it'd be that kind of chaos, like, right, of like I'm gonna jump and you better put a freaking platform where I expect it to be.
Yeah, like, and that's fun. Like, that's almost like Mario Party. Like, there are a bunch of games of Mario Party that are like that. The point where
Nice.
Donut Block Maker became contentious was we were at the end of the level. I was doing the donut blocks, and I just made like a tower of them up. And Dale at any time could have jumped forward and grabbed the flag, but she's like, "What are you doing? Why you keep making donuts on top of each other?" And I'm like, "You can just jump through them. They don't keep you from going through." No, I'm freaking out. And so she ended up freaking out, and she could have finished the level, but she ended up jumping into the pit, and I could not catch her in time. It's like, it's okay though. Like, so that was fun. But then it brings me to my favorite of the co-ops, the one that I think would be really great for speedrunning because of exactly what you're talking about. Like that desynchronous, asynchronous, I'm responsible, like 2 players, 1 controller is the thing that comes to mind. I've watched a bunch of those runs. Like those used to be at AGDQ all the time because it's like people want to see the same games, but they don't necessarily want to see the same runs. So the last co-op mode, besides Coin Collect, Jump Count, and Donut Maker, is like Captain Toad and Plucky. So Captain Toad is in the game. He's a big part of the exploration of Bellabelle Park. And Plucky is a newly introduced character that's a bird that like delivers mail. And so in Toad and Plucky, one person moves Toad left and right, and the other uses Plucky for the jumps. And Plucky has those same mechanics that I talked about with the flower suit, where like you can jump. If you hold it, it flaps its wings to get a little extra height, and then it glides down to the ground.
Wait, so you get to play as Captain Toad like in a side scroller?
Yeah, in a side scroller. You're Captain Toad. You're going through the levels, and the one person is moving Toad and the other person is jumping. And that was a blast. Like, that was such a blast. And honestly, it feels like a Nintendo sanctioned 2 players, 1 controller experience.
Nice.
It was
cool.
That was a lot of fun. And then all the other ones, like, it's like who can collect the most coins in like various ways. The attack stuff we talked about. One that's really fun is Yoshi feeding friends, baby Yoshi feeding time, where you run through the level carrying a baby Yoshi, and like enemies give you 2 points, regular berries give you 5 points, gold berries give you 10 points, and then there are poison berries that stun you.
Or is
he gets fatter and fatter, and the fatter your baby Yoshi is, the slower and less maneuverable you are. Yeah. So it's like really fun, because at the end of it, you like trigger a wonder seed that, like, in the level we played, a 3 Lakitu cloud showed up, and all they were throwing were berries. But like by that point, we had almost no maneuverability. So you're just like trying to like hope that you catch good stuff and not bad stuff. Like, that was fun. There's also one where you play as Yoshi, and it's the same sort of rules, but you actually have to eat the stuff. So you're running around as Yoshi, and you have to use your tongue to eat. Mm-hmm. There's no auto-eat like in Super Mario World. It's a lot of fun. Also, I didn't finish up that thing about high scores. For me, high scores were totally something in the arcade. Most of the at-home console games did not save your high scores. Like California Games, that time that I got all the high scores in that game, I had to take a photo with a disposable camera to prove that happened. Because when I shut down my NES, All of them were gone. All those scores were gone.
You know, this explains some things about my attempts at getting really good at Uniracer.
I did not have Uniracer on the card. So that's the Bellabelle Park thing. But then also the Koopalings are introduced in this, and they have stolen the 7 smaller treasures of Bellabelle Park. And the way that they've been inserted into the game is new brigade tents have been set up in each of the worlds where the Captain Toad Brigade is doing work. And so when you get to the brigade tent, you find out, like, Research Poplin, or New Recruit Poplin. Recruit Poplin is his name, because they've introduced this Florist Poplin, Big Band Poplin. They're kind of like Smurfs now. That was Dale's observation. It was kind of fun. New Recruit Poplin, who's trying to join the Captain Toad Brigade, he'll show up at the brigade tent and be like, I found this Koopaling. And I can take you to them. And so the first Koopaling, the only Koopaling that I've fought so far, is Wendy, who uses the wonder power from Bowser to transform into a giant fish, like a Big Bertha-style fish. And so you play a level where she's, like, attacking you in the level, and then at the end you have to fight against the wonder-powered Koopaling. So for Wendy, you know, it was... And it's not an easy fight, because it's 3 hits to kill her, but then there was a second phase. Like, they cooked. I mean, at least the Wendy fight. Again, I haven't fought any of the other ones, but they put a lot of mechanics into what you had to do when you fought against Wendy. And then we got the prize, and then in getting that prize, we unlocked the other new content, which is Toad Brigade Training Camp, which I've collected 10 medals in Toad Brigade Training Camp. And a medal is just to complete the challenge, and it doesn't matter how fast you do it or anything like that. And you have to collect up to 40 in order to have access to all of the challenges, but also you have to have cleared the level in the main game that the challenge takes place in. So, like, it was kind of difficult to get those 10 things because I hadn't done, like, any of the other levels. And at this point, I think only one of the levels that has a challenge is something I can access. The other ones were, like, in World 3 or World 6 of the game. So I like that it's kind of, like, measured out. Like, you can't just run through them. But again, it's new content that is blocked behind making progress in the game. And I don't know, because I did go out and buy a physical copy of this because I wanted it, right? It's a distinct package to me. I don't know if you buy, it's a $20 upgrade to get this stuff to the original Wonder. I don't know if it just puts itself on top of the game you already have. So if you do have, like, 100% clear file of the game and you download the Switch 2 edition, if you'll have access to everything that would have been, like, locked behind it. That's a question that I do have. Yeah, that's an
interesting question, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the idea of, like, worked-in DLC and that you don't get to until story beat, like, that's I don't know. That seems pretty normal to me. You know, like, for instance, I've been replaying I did replay the South Park games earlier this year, and the DLCs on those you can jump into, but you're gonna get fucking destroyed until you're at least level, like, 30, and they tell you that, like, they're like, we recommend you wait until you're, you know, later in the game before you come here, but, like, they don't stop you from going, which I guess is one way to go about it, but, like, it pretty much implies, like, you don't want to. And I think of the same thing with, like, all of the, like, Fallout DLCs and Skyrim DLCs, like, you don't want to be jumping into those right away. So I don't know, I mean, like content, what's the percentage locked DLC, I think, is all right by me, I think.
Yeah, I guess, like, but in those two games that you described, you're getting stronger, right? Like, there is a level system in Fallout and the South Park RPGs. Like, in Mario Brothers, my skill is my skill. So, like, I could probably handle these things as somebody who's been playing Mario games since I was 3 years old. So like
Yeah, but
I
don't know. That's not the point. I
I
guess
know
is
it's
what
not
is
the
like.
point.
Is
I
what I'm
know
saying.
it's not the point. But it did kind of like, I'm like, oh, I'm really excited to go through these 60 courses. And honestly, they are chunks of existing levels, but with like added things like you have to use the jet badge and beat the level in under 30 seconds. Or you have to collect all of the coins here. You have to kill all of the enemies. And those are fun. The real fun ones are the extra training, because it's like, don't touch an enemy. And by that, they mean you can't even kill an enemy. All the enemies are like surrounded by magic blue fire, and even just touching them will kill you, which was really difficult for like the Hoppo level, because like even when they become springs, you cannot use them as springs. And there are a couple of jumps in that where like you're supposed to have a Hoppo for this jump. Good luck.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I mean, I have been having a lot of fun with it. I'm excited to play through the rest of the game. But the thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to play all those multiplayer things, because admittedly, that is not what I was interested in when I'm like, ooh, DLC for Super Mario Brothers Wonder. I was more interested in the Koopaling story and how it would change those things. But I have to say, overall, most of the versus co-op is a lot of fun. The Plucky and Captain Toad thing, I legitimately would like to play through the whole thing. like I want to go through every challenge and see what happens when you do that. The other co-op stuff, I mean, like, I don't know. They just were not my cup of tea. I'll admit that. And I'm curious to see how any other changes do exist. So for a preliminary look at it, it was fun. But then, like, to talk once more about how this is the game that released prior to their second movie that, like, they're actually proud of, right? Because there was a movie in 93 that you and I are big fans of, but that Nintendo, they get mad every time I bring it up. I know they get mad every time I bring it up. Anyone brings it up. But, like, to get this game on release date was very difficult. Like, I could have just downloaded it, right? But I went to a store. I had to wait for someone to get it, and they're like, I'll have to go into the back. And what's strange to me is that, like, I went to a Target. I'll admit it. I went to a Target to get this game. And, sorry. The frustration that I feel about that is that Target and Nintendo have a relationship. They have a partnership with one another. And when I'm there on the day that a game releases and there's nothing there on that day, it feels a little bit weird. Am I wrong on that?
You mean like there was like no standees or no advertisements anywhere, or like the game was gone? What do you mean?
The game was not on the floor. There were no standees. Like, Amiibos were supposed to be releasing next to it. And then I ended up going to the same Target the next day, and all of that stuff was there. And I feel like that stuff should have been put out the Wednesday night, right?
I don't know, man, Thursday. Because like they've Target is one of the prime examples of places people would see shit breaking street date left, right, and center. And Nintendo's not somebody you want to break street date with. So you're better off saying we're going to hold off and do this 24 hours later than, like, you could still go in and buy the game. It's still in their inventory. It's still, if you know, you know. So like, it's not like they're going to stop the game from being sold that day, but it almost feels like they thought it'll be better if we just kind of take a breather on this one.
Yeah, right.
And it might not even be a Target thing. It could just be a store to store thing. If they've been burned before on a street date issue, like, this just may be a store policy now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I actually like that. That makes me feel better about it. Because, I mean, Dale has had that a bunch of times where something is on the shelf, she goes to buy it, and it's street dated. And she's like, yeah, but, like, I'm not going to be able to get this if I have to wait. And, like, some of the stores are good. They're like, no, we definitely want to sell it to you. We'll hold this up front with your name on it. You have to come in on this date to buy it. Otherwise, we're putting it back on the shelf. And, like, that's good. Like, that's good customer service. But you're not going to get that all the time. And you're right. They are. It is also crazy with street date at Target now that if you ring in something that's not street date, it makes you feel like a criminal. Like an alarm goes off at the checkout, and Like, it's awful.
Yeah, there's probably some behind the scenes like lawsuit or settlement that we are not aware of that put them on the high alert, as it were, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's like, I get Street Date for certain things like movies and video games, but for toys, like the Mario Galaxy toys were out on shelves a week beforehand, and there were numerous conversations online about people trying to buy them because, like, it's a fully stocked section of these figures. Why would I think that it's not available to purchase? And then going up to it, and these were at Walmart's, where they were like, "Where did you get this?" And it's like, "Your toy section. There are 7 others of them. What are you doing?" So that's,
I don't know, man. Like, it's like brick and mortar. I don't want to be like ragging on the ways that brick and mortar like does their thing, because like they're at the end of their rope. They're not going to exist. I know that people have been kind of like doomsaying them for years now, but I really don't know how a physical store stays open in the next decade.
and then what does that mean though? Like, what does that mean for us? Because we're currently seeing that, like, the USPS, like, for real, is like, we might have to shut down. There might be no more postal service. And
which is crazy because, like, do you know one of the biggest things that the postal service does these days? They deliver for Amazon.
It's
don't
one of their
anymore. Like biggest.
That's why they think they're going to die.
It was one of their biggest agreements for a while.
Yeah, that's
that they would pick up the. That's weird because I definitely still get stuff through USPS when I order Amazon sometimes, not all the time. I guess maybe it depends if it's maybe from like a unique seller versus Amazon sending it. I guess that's the difference. But yeah, for a while there, that was like their peak source of income. Well, I guess that explains why they're shutting down then.
Yeah, because
stupid. I don't know, but yeah,
because it's worth $6 billion annually, covering last mile delivery through USPS. But contract talks collapsed in December of 2025, and legitimately, it is only going, and it's only active till like late 2026. So all of these things that we're hearing about, where they're saying that we might have to discontinue the United States Postal Service, is because of that exact deal that you're citing, like looking like it's not going to happen anymore.
Oof, that sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks all around. I mean, it sucks for the people that are losing their jobs and all of this shit. It sucks for consumers because, like, you're losing more and more and more choices and options. And I mean, at this point, you are just going to be paying Amazon directly to have somebody drive to your house to drop shit off. That's what 90% of the deliveries feel like around here these days. You know, there is like 1 or 2 Amazon delivery trucks that you see, but more often than not, you're just seeing like couriers. And like, you know, we're just kind of getting back around to that. But, you know, we've basically privatized the U.S. mail service. But anyway, back to the fun stuff.
Terrifying. But it is. It's like, it's one of those things where, like, but brick and mortar is another one of those things, because, like, having the option to go somewhere and get something that you need is a necessity, right? Like,
well, and the other thing is the guardrails of like, I'm going to go to a physical store, and if this thing is here, I'm buying this. If not, I'm buying that, right? Like, it put you in a position to also have a lot more like control and thought placed into where you were actually putting your dollars on top of everything. Like, that's one of the things that me personally that I'm missing, is that sometimes, like, I just want to be able to say, like, okay, I couldn't get that today because it wasn't available, so I'm going to get this instead. And sometimes that ends up being the better experience, you know, like, and I don't know, like, this ability to have it immediately at my fingertips without having to talk to a human is really like driving my dopamine levels real high. But in the long run, my depression and anxiety ain't loving it.
Yeah, I mean, I will talk about it. Let's go to the dark days of the pandemic. Like, the ability, not even the ability, but more the necessity to, like, get everything online really had me sort of overspending. Like, in terms of collectibles and things, it's why with collectibles, I now only buy it if I find it in a store. Right? Like, like I sent you the
Yep.
Usagi and the Leonardo, right, from the Target Holothon that's going on right now. They're based on Stan Sakai drawings of the turtles. They're beautiful figures. The only ones that I have found in stores are Usagi and Leonardo. They put them all up for sale last Friday. Well, 2 Fridays ago now, right? They sold out online, and honestly, I'd be bummed if I never got the Donatello, Raph, and Michelangelo in this same style to complete like what are great looking figures, but I am not interested in buying them online. I'm just not interested in it. Like, and I feel good about that. I feel like cleansed in a way, because it was like I need to have it and online was the only way to get it. But I ended up like putting in pre-orders and like not thinking about budgets, because like I'm not paying till later on down the line. It's the same with the whole buy now pay later scheme that is like currently crippling people in this economy, where like, oh, I don't need to think about it. It's not real money because it's for future me to deal with. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
I
well,
just
and
don't
like the current like big issue in that field being like the rise in like apps and shit that are doing this for you, right? Like you go to a store and you realize you can't afford something, but then there's like a big bright button that says, hey, if you can't afford this, download this app and you could do a buy now pay later plan, and now suddenly you've got this third party working through on your bank account shit, and you don't know anything about them, but they certainly start to learn a lot about you.
about me. Yeah. What about, or buying a Chipotle burrito, buy now pay later? Right? Like, if you don't get the $10 for the Chipotle burrito, do you really want to, like, end up paying $20 for that burrito when, like, interest kicks in and things like that? Like, they make it seem so appealing. But at the end of the day, it's instant dopamine, but you're...
Isn't that a Always Sunny bit where fucking Mac and is talking to Frank about like the couch that they pay $25 or something a month on because they just pay the interest off. They don't bother paying any of the principal, and they've had it for 15 years.
Yeah.
And Frank, being very out of character but also kind of very in character, does the math like in 2 seconds and goes, yeah, that's $1,900, You've paid $20,000 for a couch.
You paid $20,000 for a $400 couch, I believe is the way that ends.
Yeah, no, that can't be right.
Yeah,
I think about that shit all the time, though, man. You know, like people talk about that with with Terry Pratchett, right? The Sam Vines rule of boots is that like a poor man will have to buy many pairs of boots in a year, whereas a rich man can buy one pair and then be set for years. So like, who's spending more money in the long run? That's how the economy is basically explained in one of the early
Discworld.
Well, Discworld, but I was trying to think of the line, the cops there, whatever their name is, their line of books. That's one of the very first books that is cited very frequently in these kinds of conversations. Yeah, man, I don't know. The whole system is just, it's nonsense and bullshit, and like the thing is like credit has always existed, and credit as an option for people I think is important and all of that sort of shit. So it's like I don't know. I hesitate to say that like buy now pay later plans are complete bullshit, because there are certain people where that is the right choice. I think the problem is, like all things that I always bitch about, is that we are not educated enough. It is not transparent enough how that shit works. People sign up for things not really realizing what they're getting into, and that is where it becomes fucking insidious.
Where it becomes insidious for me is the things that you can buy now and pay later for, like rent. That is a scary thing. Like, there are some things that should not be credit based, right? Because that just, you're like, feels like you're just setting yourself up for failure with some of these things that you can buy now and pay later for rent. And rent is a big one, like
or
that. Yeah.
at least having like a credit-based system that was backed by like the U.S. government, as opposed to like a private business that it's again may not be the most reputable, right? Like, yeah, no, 100%. Like, people should have options besides having to go into debt in order to survive. Like, plain and simple. Like, that should not be the math people have to do, especially in a country that likes to throw its dick around as the best of the best.
Yeah, what are we the best in? People who can't afford to live in your country? Like, no, we're not talking about that. We're just the most profitable. Yeah, but that doesn't affect like 99% of your population, right? Like, let's be honest, right? And sometimes the people who are doing the work to get you those profits, they're not seeing an equal equity in the amount of money that they're making for you, right? That's been a big thing online with some of these like channels that have like lost members of them who have gone off to make their own channels. They always talk that they cite that like, yeah, I was seeing the millions of dollars that the channel I worked for was making, and then I was seeing my paycheck every week, and like, I'm not seeing those millions of dollars reflected in my paycheck because of the contract that I signed when this was like 3 guys and a fucking camera.
Yeah, well, remember when all that info got leaked a few years ago of like the streamer, but like salaries, that got out there. Yeah, man, and like people were very quick to point out people towards the top, but like one of the more interesting conversations for me was that it didn't take very long to hit a point on the list where people were not making that much money. You know, for as big as we think like the streaming service like world is, and I mean specifically streamers, right, like Twitch and stuff like that. Like as much as we think like that type of content creation is huge right now, there's not many people that are actually making money doing it. You know,
right? I mean, like Amazon feels like they're bleeding money through Twitch. Twitch feels like they have that, and honestly, they're not going to get rid of it because they could probably hide a bunch of losses over there in it. It seems like their own little shell game, but then you hear them talk about it, and they're like, this is not profitable. How could this ever be profitable the way that it works? Just because we have some people who make X amount of dollars through our thing, not all of that money comes through us first. Sometimes it's private donations to them or their own merchandise. Like, it is just scary. We do not talk about the economy a lot on this show, and the reason why is I have a bellyache right now, Sejohn. This has not made me not feel great.
Yeah, but I mean, when this all rolls back to the earlier stuff of talking about things like, will you buy a game like Mario Wonder for the Switch 2?
Right.
First of all, will you even buy a Switch 2 with the idea that there's going to be a price hike soon? The idea that all of this shit is just like, it's bricks upon bricks upon bricks of shit, and the wall's about to fall down on top of us. It sucks.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, sometimes I think like the price hike stuff is in a way to drive sales, like the going out of business sale in reverse, where like, oh, we're going to be raising the prices at this time where Nintendo is kind of all anybody can talk about, right? With either Procopia or the new Mario movie that's coming out or the new system. Like, it's in a lot of people's mouths right now. So if your kid has been saying, I want to Switch 2, I want to Switch 2, and you've been like, no, it's too expensive, but then you see that the price is going to go up. Well, I don't want to have to pay more for it if I'm going to eventually get this for my kid, so I'm going to go out and get it now. And then they get.
Oh yeah, I just was looking at a YouTube list of stuff because you were asking me to check the price hike stuff up, and like I can't tell you how many of the recommendations that came up were articles and videos all called like, "Don't wait to get a Switch 2 now, price hike coming, so like go get yours now," or "Why I can't wait to get a Switch 2 with the price hike coming." Like, and so it's just like encouraging, like it is in full force for sure.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, that's kind of gross. Like, just at its base level, it's kind of gross that they're like, oh, we're going to raise the price. And everybody's like, oh, fuck, I got to buy it now at a already pretty crazy price, right? For a system that does not have a lot of exclusives, right? We sat here and we talked about Wonder Switch 2 Edition. But at the heart of it is just Super Mario Brothers Wonder. And I don't know of a lot of people who never played through Super Mario Brothers Wonder, right? Like, it's not like it was a game that like people missed out on. It was on a system, it was on a console that had one of the hugest install bases ever in the history of video game consoles. And it was the mascot of that company. Like, in terms of this being double dipping, You bet your ass it is. And it's
Right.
more double dipping than something like Super Luigi U was. Because that one, every single level got a new Luigi version of itself. Like, that was a full game. And they did not charge full game price for it. How much was Super Luigi U, now that I'm looking at this?
I think at the time it was 50 when everything else was 60 or something to that effect.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was either 50 or 40.
I was thinking it might have been 40, but then I thought Nintendo would never.
Let's see. What was the price on it? Well, now it's that. New, it is $50 at this time. What was the MSRP for it? Oh, God. Wii U Luigi. I have no idea how to find a price of a game from, God, how long ago was that? Like 12 years? MSRP, right? Those are the magic letters.
Yeah, maybe. Or sometimes I just literally type in, how much did this cost when it came out? And Google's pretty good about that.
The original MSRP for the standalone physical release of New Super Luigi U on Wii U was $19.99.
Holy crap.
The
Really?
DLC was also priced at $19.99. I guess. I mean, that is Google AI overview, so who knows? But like, that seems like
That seems crazy.
I don't freaking know. I mean, the digital version of it is still $19.99. Like, if you, that's not shut down yet, or I guess where it was, but like where things are up about it. But yeah, like that's what's up, gamers? Yeah, total playtime. You intimated in your review that $20 was too much for a set of redesigned levels, implying the additional $60 price tag of the original game for an expensive $80. Yeah, so it was $20. This is a review that said it was $20 from 2013. Holy crap. Like, you and I were giving it so much more. That's what Nintendo did in the year of Luigi. And that is the full Super Mario Brothers Wii U game with every level changed to be like Luigi sort of themed. Also, they could be completed within 100 Mario seconds. Because every level was like, you have to beat this fast. Which is real fun for like the ghost houses. Like, those are real fun levels. Like, that feels like more value for it. Bella Bell Park giving me 60 levels, but with like new sort of requirements to do in those levels and the multiplayer stuff for that same $20, that's less value than Super Luigi U was. Just end of the day. I don't know. Did you ever do Super Luigi U? I really liked Super Luigi U. Yeah, and I bought it.
Yeah, I mean, if you buy, well, nowadays, if you buy Super Mario Brothers U, it comes with it, I think.
Yeah,
I'm
Super
pretty
Mario
sure
Brothers
that
U
it's pretty much
Deluxe
just
comes
part of
with
it.
both of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So yeah. We it's not the one that we play the most often. We will dive back into Super Mario Brothers U pretty often, but Super Luigi U is one that I had a lot of fun with when we first got a copy of it, but I don't know if we dive into it pretty regularly.
Yeah, and I understand that. I totally understand why people would not be jumping into that game. It is a very specific experience, sort of like the Bella Bell Park stuff. It's a specific, like, additive experience. It is DLC, but I mean, like, that's way more game for your buck. Because it's not like every single level has a Luigi variant. And
yeah, sure, but what was the year release on Super Luigi U?
2013. It was the year of Luigi.
So I mean, we're right, exactly. So we're talking about a game that is almost 15 years old now. You know, so like, yes, okay, it was cheaper. Plus, on top of that, I will say that there is something to what you just said about the niche audience for something like Super Luigi U. I think there's a much wider audience for what everything you've described in Mario Wonder.
Well,
so like. Also, just how the market works, you know, supply and demand, as it were.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess one of the things is that the nice thing about Luigi U was that you could just buy it for $20 and play it. You did not need
Sure.
to own
Yeah.
another game. While it was like, it's similar
What was
to
the
DLC.
pricing situation?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's similar to DLC, but it's standalone content, which we certainly don't
What
see
was
that
the
anymore.
pricing situation with Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury? What was that? What was the situation there?
Yeah, that I'm fairly certain that was a $60 game. But let's Super Mario. I guess Bowser's Fury is probably the easier way to do that.
Yes. Yeah.
MSRP. Yeah, that's a $60 game. And the reason behind that is that, like, it was a $60 game to buy Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U. So, like, to convince people to pay that money again, because I had 3D World on the Wii U, like, that additional content.
Right, but you had Wonder on the Switch, right? So,
Yeah.
like, why? Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, completely different words. Wonder on the Switch and getting the Switch 2 edition, it's so that we could have this episode of the show. Like, the mental gymnastics that I'm doing when I'm rebuying a Switch game that I owned before is that I know I'm going to sit at this microphone and talk about it with you. Like, so
Sure.
it's not the same. Like, I have a built-in excuse, and it is an excuse. I will be the first person to admit me buying the Switch edition and the Switch 2 edition of Metroid Prime 4 was an excuse to buy both of those games. I'll be the first person to admit that. I use the show as the excuse. Did it lead me to have some great conversations with people out in the world and to inform people that a regular Switch edition had even released? Yes. Like, honestly, that game was not great, right? Like, I don't think that Metroid Prime 4 will be remembered fondly in the annals of gaming history, but I do feel like I did some, like, important work is not what I mean. People who go to, like, third world countries and inoculate them against deadly diseases, they're doing important work. But I did spread information that, like, Nintendo was not spreading, right? I did make sure that people were informed. And that felt kind of cool. It also led me to realize that I did not need to buy both copies in order to test out the difference between the Switch version and the Switch 2 version, because Switch 2 editions of games have the Switch edition on it. I need to make sure that it's written in blazing letters in the sky so that people understand that, because it's important. It's important to know that. And it really feels like they don't want you to.
Wild.
Yeah. I don't know. Sorry. Is there anything else we should be talking about? I feel this has been like a real Nintendo heavy episode. What have you been up to? Other than getting mad at me on Wednesday.
No, a couple of different things. I video game wise, just to kind of stay in this realm for just a second more, like, I've been doing a little bit more of the puzzle game Patrick's Parabox, and it is just mind-bendingly wild. They introduced some new mechanics, and my brain is very much enjoying the experience, but it's getting to the point where I'm starting to forget some of the basics, which is this is I think a natural step in all puzzle games, is that once you get to a point where the mechanics get so difficult, it becomes not difficult, complex, but by the time it becomes so complex, you kind of forget some of the more simple ones, and so you're just like, you spend 10 minutes looking at a screen thinking, why can I not figure this out? And then you realize, oh, this is so much easier than I was making it, right? Like, and I'm hitting that point with it now, is that, like, there's so many more complex rules that I keep kind of forgetting some of the basic rules. But the way that it works with the ways that so the whole concept is it's a game of boxes, and you slide boxes around, and you want to get boxes into specific areas, and that solves the puzzle, right? But the thing is that boxes have the ability to go inside one another depending on how they're built. And you can go inside the boxes yourself, you can get out of the box, you can move around, and depending on if you put a box inside a box, you might actually create a recursive box, because you could put a box inside itself, and, like, it starts to become this whole like rabbit hole of physics and math about like, well, okay, if I can put this box here, it will cut off everything, but I'll be able to actually leave this box and it'll actually transport me there because I've got the ability to clone that box. It's crazy. And it's all done in the simplest like graphics. Like, that's not to say that they're bad. It's actually, I think, a really gorgeous game, the way that it is laid out, and it has to be because of the way that you have to be able to like visualize things. But it is, it is pretty straightforward in what its graphics are, which is important because too complex on information on screen, it can get really hard. They actually play with that in some of the bonus levels. There's a couple of bonus levels where instead of boxes, everything is just written out in what's the old data language called, that with like hashtags and
Like
paragraph
common
signs and shit like that.
or
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's all like it's written out like that, and you have to kind of figure out puzzles through that kind of method. It's wild. um but yeah, so I've been so deep into that, and that's been a great one. But I keep having to walk away after a level or two because my brain is just fried. I honestly, I don't know how much there is to it. I got it. Did I talk about how I came across it?
no, a little bit you mentioned it, but I feel like you just no, you go tell the story again, even if you did. I don't
Well, so
remember
so
it.
it,
So
it popped up as a recommended game for me on the Switch. Like, it was one of those, like, similar to games you've played type situations. But when I went to go buy it, it was it was probably $15, I think, on its own. I think $15 to $20, but it was on sale for like 8. So I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I've been looking at it for a bit. It does look like it's something, right? But then I realized that there was another option. It was part of like this like puzzle bundle that had like 8 games in it. And that was normally like 100 and some odd dollars, but it was on sale for 40. And I was just like, wait a minute. I I'm not saying I'm going to go this route, but I have to look into this, right?
yeah, yeah. So you have
so I
mentioned that
so I
part.
pulled that bundle up. Yeah, so I pulled that bundle up, and it had just all this great shit in it. Games I wanted to play, games I'd never heard of, games I have played but I knew I liked. So like, I was like, this is too good. So like, I've just been pounding through some of the craziest little puzzle games that I got in that bundle. It was 8 games altogether. And there's one called like Hudo, like Hudo, Hudo, where like you have to form what I've learned is chemical bonds. Like, you basically have to move atoms around, but depending on the ways that they are facing, depending on what is already connected to them, they may or may not. So like, you need to make things like H2O, right? And like, how do you go around and collect the right ones to do that in the right way so that they bond correctly? Because a hydrogen won't bond to a hydrogen. So you need to make sure that you're getting close to that hydrogen with an oxygen. Like, it's like really crazy stuff like that. So there's just so much good stuff in that bundle. But Patrick's Parabox is the one that I'm like deep into on that one, and I cannot recommend that one enough. But then, have I talked about my current obsession with Dice a Million? Have we talked about that?
No, we have not talked about.
Oh man, so the way to start this conversation is to say it's a Balatro like, right? Like, it is a numbers go up game. But instead of a card based system, it's all a dice based system. It's called Dice a Million. And so you play as a hand, essentially, that you can, depending on if you're playing the white hand, the red hand, the blue hand, the green hand, different effects are going on, right? Different number of dice, different number of types of dice, different numbers of enchantments. But the big system in it that really alters things is the ring system. The hand can have up to 10 rings, more or less, depending on what you're doing with like challenges and things like that. But up to 10 rings is the average. And then those 10 rings will have various effects on that. Some of them will make you roll extra dice. Some of them will multiply the dice that are there. Some of them will do some negative things, but then they like pay off in positive ways. Like, oh yeah, certain dice will get destroyed, but the amount of like extra value on those dice will be applied to every other die or something like that. So you start kind of having to do your your math on the risk reward of do I do this. So that's where I think it really differs from Balatro, and what makes it a whole different game for me is that in Balatro it's pretty straightforward. You know what you have in front of you. You can do the math and figure out how many points you're going to get. You know pretty much immediately before you put it out there, or have the ability to know immediately before you put it out there how much you're going to get. You know, I know at some point the math becomes so crazy that not everybody can do it, but technically the math is doable, right? With Dice a Million, there's a little bit of the RNG, because you don't know what the dice are going to land on. You don't know what other effects are going to come into play, because there's like chances of effects and things like that, depending on what you're up against. Because if you're in like boss levels, they'll do certain things, like any die that gets a multiplier over 3 turns into a 0. And so like you don't want to actually be multiplying your dice in that round, because like you don't want to lose your opportunities. So like it becomes really, really like heady. And then there's this whole system to it about like you're trying to like work through who has trapped you in this dice game and like and all this, but it is so tangential. It is just a way to justify mechanics like a endless mode, or there is a promotion mode where if you were able to find all the pieces of a mysterious dice, you can actually play more levels and things like that. So there's a really deep kind of like system going on there, and like bringing you back. But it's also, as I said, it's so inconsequential. It's not like the story of whatever's happening is not what's pulling me through. It is the addictive ass nature of this game, and it's just so fucking smooth. Like it's got a little bit of like just on the cleaner side of a classic Supo like style animation, like it looks hand drawn and there's squiggly lines, but it's not nearly as like crazy as something like Rugrats would get. Like it's pretty clear, clean. But like there's just all this good, like really smooth stuff about like, it's really quick to roll hands. You can turn the speed up even further if you want. Picking rewards is really straightforward and obvious. They explain things very precisely and very quickly. Even the stuff that they're being quote unquote cagey about, just to be like interesting, you can pretty quickly figure out what's going to happen. For instance, there's like a pinata die and it says like, bust open for a surprise when you first see it. Well, you pretty much know right away, okay, it's probably going to be a large amount of what you're collecting is pips. So it's going to be a large amount of pips. And then on top of that, it's a pinata, so it's probably going to get destroyed, because that's a mechanic is dice can be destroyed throughout as you roll them. So like it's a risk reward, right? Like you're going to lose that die, but it's probably going to be a really good big number. So it might be better to wait till like your fourth roll, because you have a ring that on your fourth roll multiplies all of your dice or something, right? So you hold on to it until then. Like yeah, it's a really 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 fun game. And between my personal computer and then the family computer that I have that I had set up the NUC on the TV upstairs, like I have been playing it nonstop. I think I've put about 50 hours into it, and I've had the game for 2 weeks.
Jeez, Sejohn. I mean, I see you're always playing it and then like the Discord stuff, but I did not realize you were always playing.
Well, it's a really easy game to just have on and to like play, right? So like I can do it during work. I can do it while I'm just sitting here watching YouTube, or if I'm eating like lunch and I've it's literally just like click and pick. And the RNG is just obvious enough where you don't always feel like you're fucking up if things are going bad, but it's never so shitty that like you feel like the game is just fucking you. You can have a bad run where you feel like, okay, I just didn't get the right rings, I didn't get the right dice, I didn't get the right enchantments put on those dice or whatever, so I just got screwed. But very, very rarely do you hit something where you're like, well, you've just made this unwinnable. Like this is broken right now. Like that's not usually what I hit. Usually it's a pretty noticeable issue that I'm having on a run, and I can correct in a new run. And like I said, it's such a smooth transition. Like if I really want to just retry at any point, you can just hit the settings wheel and hit retry, and it brings you right back to the beginning of your full run, as if you just had just started. It's such a quick like get up and go. It's a really, really pleasing experience.
Cool. I like that. I love the sound of that. It weirdly mirrors sort of, I went back to Burnout 3. Have I talked about Burnout 3 and going back to it?
No, I didn't realize you were a Burnout guy. Need for Speed, right? We're talking Need for Speed Burnout. We're not talking about
No,
something else.
I am talking about the series of games called specifically just Burnout. There was a PS1 game, no, PS2 games, Burnout, Burnout 2, and then Burnout 3 is where they really come into their own. And they have other ones like Burnout Paradise and things like that. The series has continued. But Burnout 3 was the one that I had the demo for. And I only ever played the demo for Burnout 3. I never played the actual game. And that it's kind of fun because it's sort of like real racing, like you're racing actual cars through actual cities. But what they want you to do is take out your rivals. They like want you to cause crashes.
Burnout 3, the takedown. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, Burnout 3, the takedown. So they want you to take down your rivals. And when you do that, it's sort of like if F-Zero were like real cars is the best way to describe it. Because when you take out a rival, you get extra boost, which means you can go faster. And boost is the easiest way. Like you shunt or you like grind a car off the road. Like it's easier if you have the boost to then escape from it. So I always liked the racing portion in this demo that I had. But a couple of weeks ago, I was hanging out with Claude, and he's like, did you ever do the crash event modes? And I'm like, no, what is crash event? And crash event, on the one hand, it kind of feels like domestic terrorist simulator, because the whole idea is to drive your car at speed into busy intersections and cause the most damage as possible. The type of game that could only be made in like 2004. Let's just be honest about it. Though I had some conversations with people about it, and the idea is that the Burnout universe is a utopia where everybody has universal health care and you cannot die in a car crash. This is how people have like justified it to themselves. Yeah. So
I was conflating it with the Hot Pursuit games.
Yeah,
that's
that
what
makes
I was
sense.
Conflating it with.
So we sat and we played Burnout 3 Takedown Crash Event modes. We got 59 medals, and we like this was when we canceled the recording before St. Patrick's Day. Partially it was so that we could have a day off to like enjoy the weekend before St. Patrick's Day. Partially it was because that Saturday beforehand, I had stayed up until 4 a.m. playing Burnout 3 Crash Event mode. And then last weekend, I got my hands on it for my PlayStation 2. I got a hands on that copy of the game. And I caught up with where we got that night. Actually, I got one additional medal because order of operation, I screwed myself over. I'm like, I want to complete 3 laps of the world tour because that's what we ended up doing. And the game is just, in terms of like, just a simple loop of I drive into this, I see what I can do. All right, I need to adjust. I'm only going for gold medals, right? If I don't get a gold, I'm going to retry. It is a blast. It is like just that simplistic sort of game that we had as kids where it was just about like having fun.
Yeah, man. I get it. I told you. Uniracers.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned Uniracers, you son of a bitch. and that almost broke me. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I've also been on a little bit of a hunt of some lost media stuff. There's been with some building that I've been doing with some of the computer systems in the house to kind of back some things up and have things at hand, as it were. So I've also been on a little bit of a journey, just looking through some like old, not even really that old. Some of it's been within just the last few years, but stuff just kind of lost to the various like streaming war shit and people just not. It was so fucking hard for me to find an affordable like copy of the Constantine TV show, for instance. It seems like everywhere it's $20 to $30, and I just wanted like an episode or two, but like it was just, I don't know, it was a little bit of a journey trying to find that, for instance, or Close Enough or Infinity Train were some of the other big ones that I was on the lookout for. There's been a lot of concern about preserving Over the Garden Wall, just in a lot of the preservation circles that are talking about like new shit that we at least still have access to that we should try and make some effort to save. Mm-hmm. So there's been a lot of efforts with like Over the Garden Wall, with people trying to like do campaigns for like various republishers, like Arrow, or Criterion would be one, but not that they would ever, although that would be a fucking wild experience to see. I think Criterion has done one TV show that I'm aware of that is in their collection, and it's what is it? Bob Goes Fishing or something like that is the name of it. I'm trying to remember. It's a weird little piece of trivia that there is technically one TV show in the Criterion collection. There at this point there may be more. I'm talking about when I was like younger. That was like the big thing. But anyway, so like just trying to preserve some stuff that's been lost. Also, just some wild like comedies and like action movies that I remember watching when I was a kid because they were like on Sunday afternoons, but then like never really like watching them again. Like I found myself like looking at a copy of Wishmaster 3, like that kind of shit, like just some crazy stuff there. So it's just been really interesting because I've just been diving into some weird random stuff.
So looking at the Criterion collection for television releases, they've done a few. Fishing with John is the one you were talking about, the John Larry one.
Yes, yeah.
But they've done World on a Wire, Tanner 88, 8 Hours Don't Make a Day, Small Axe, The Underground Railroad, and Scenes from a Marriage.
Ooh, Scenes from a Marriage.
Yeah, right? Like,
yeah.
I've never even considered that Criterion would do television. And
the Fishing with John stuff is so fucking funny. It's poignant, I would say, from what I remember. Like, I don't want to act like it was meant to be like a fucking like Adult Swim experience, but like when I was 16 or 17 or whenever, when I came across that and watched it for the first time, it felt like watching like a sophisticated Adult Swim show.
And it's only 6 episodes. So, like, it does seem like the kind of thing that would fit. So, available for $18.73 on DVD, Sejohn. Brand new on Amazon.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. So, that's not even something I ever considered. Also interesting because Burnout 3, The Takedown, is a Criterion game. I can't imagine that it's the same Criterion because the logo is a dog. But
no, Criterion is, I believe, the developer or something.
Yeah, it's just every time that it comes up, it's like, oh, that's why it's so good.
I don't know, man.
Everybody
always says like, oh, the Michelin star is different than Michelin Man, and then they find out it's not.
It's not. No. So Criterion Games is a British video game developer based in Guildford. So it has nothing different. They were sold to Electronic Arts in October 2004. So they really only made the 3 Burnout games before that went away, which is interesting. Yeah, that's fun. I mean, no, they did some other games. Scorched Planet, Speedboat Attack, Subculture. But their big, like, console releases, no, they had a bunch of those too. Wow. Do I want to go on a deep dive through all of the Criterion games? That might be fun. I don't know. But it is very different than the Criterion of the video of movies. Which makes sense. But
I don't know though, man. That storybook version, the game of Seventh Seal is something to be played. I will say that.
Yeah, oh my god. So Burnout Paradise was the last Burnout game. They did a remaster of it. I mean, it's not the last one because they did Burnout Crash, but that was a downloadable game for, I think, iOS. Oh, no, it was on PlayStation 3. So, who knows? But, yeah. And Criterion staff jokingly asked if they could work on an installment in the Need for Speed franchise, and that is what led to Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. So you're not crazy, Sejohn.
Yeah.
Not that anyone thought you were crazy. Just
yeah,
being honest.
there is a certain. It's like when you talk about like skateboarding games. Like Tony Hawk is a very different game from Skate. Is a very different game from yeah. So I was gonna say Ollie Ollie. There is also some. I'm trying to think. There was something else that we had done that I wanted to talk about. I don't know. We talked about hoppers. It came up again this week, and just it's still around. But yeah, I don't know, man. Anything else?
So I'd like to, with this last roughly 22 minutes of the show, talk about some TV that I've been experiencing. I've been wanting to talk about one of these things for at least 2 weeks, and it just has slipped my mind every time. Sejohn, have you fucked with the reboot of Scrubs at all?
Not. No. I honestly, it's one of those ones where I was kind of sitting on my hands waiting to hear if it was something that was going to piss everybody off. I just need to know that before I go in, because I can't tell you how disappointed I always am when I like a thing and then find out everybody else hates it. So I was just kind of waiting if I needed to like guard myself for that. Plus, we've talked before. I like binging shit. So like,
yeah,
this is definitely
right.
one
So
of
it
those ones
totally
that I'm willing
seems
to wait
like
till there's
that.
a good.
So I mean, I've watched all 6 episodes. After the first 4 episodes, I was willing to give my judgment on the Scrubs reboot as unnecessary. Unnecessary was what I felt about the Scrubs reboot after 4 episodes. But then I had a conversation with a coworker who had never watched Scrubs proper, who was really enjoying the show. And they're an older person. They're not somebody who was like, I wasn't alive when Scrubs was a thing, right? This is somebody who was alive, could have watched Scrubs from the beginning, didn't, but now finds themselves enjoying the series that is the Scrubs reboot, coming into it with no knowledge. And the fact that it is able to bring in people who are not familiar with the 9 seasons of Scrubs. I am not ever forgetting Med School, because I love Med School. Come fight me, fans of Scrubs. I don't know if I can say it's unnecessary, right? Because it's bringing in new fans to this. I don't know if she'll go back to the original, but she at least can find enjoyment in this. And isn't that like ultimately what television shows are about, is to bring enjoyment to people?
Yeah, well, I mean, man, it's the thing that like you always have to kind of remember in the back of your head when you or complain, not like you, Devon, but
yeah,
like
I know what you mean. Yeah,
the royal you, like when you were saying like I don't understand why this keeps getting renewed. I mean, take a step back and consider maybe it's the fact that actually a bunch of people are actually enjoying it, right?
Right, exactly.
to call it unnecessary and then find out, well, actually, there's a bunch of people that are really interested in it. It's like, well, I guess what does unnecessary mean in the long run?
And I think that's the important thing, because it's not that I don't hate the Scrubs reboot, right? And I've always somebody who's had a very tenuous relationship with Scrubs. Loved the first season, hated the second season, completely fell off from it. Loved the 5th season, completely fell off during the 6th. Reluctantly watched the 8th season. I would put my life on the line for Scrubs Med School. And sometimes I have. Just being honest. So when I say it's unnecessary, it doesn't feel like it was brought back for any other reason other than the nostalgia of Scrubs. It doesn't feel like it has some brand new like story or idea or message to put out into the world. If we never got this Scrubs reboot, I don't think that Scrubs would have been affected. And now that we have, I still don't think that original Scrubs is affected by it. It's not hype. It's just unnecessary. That is still my judgment of it. But like, that's my judgment of it. And I understand that other people are enjoying it. Though people were real down on the first 2 episodes of it.
Yeah,
I will admit
but
that.
it's not like it came from nowhere, right? Like the 2 of them, JD and Turk. There, why am I having such a hard
Zach
time thinking of their names
Braff
at the moment?
and oh my God, why can't I think
Donald
of Donald
Faison.
Faison's name?
Yeah.
I was doing a bit.
Zach Braff and Donald Faison have been,
Yeah.
they've been very good friends since the original show, and they have done a very interesting job in kind of playing with that and in marketing themselves. They had a podcast, a rewatch podcast going for a while. That was the two of them. They have rolled into like a T-Mobile contract together and stuff. Like they've done a lot of the two of them things, and have really, they've never been quiet about the fact that was such a great time in their life, and they would love to go back to that. It was something that worked in a way that some of their other projects in life have not always. So shall we say, Zach Braff especially, like, he had a whole directing career that just kind of never really seemed to be able to get off the ground. And so like I do think that there has always been kind of an underlying kind of rumbling within the, and Scrubs has always had its fan base, and so I think
Very
there's always
true.
been this like rumbling in the background of, with all of the things that have been coming back, why not this, and so I don't think it's necessary or not is a weird conversation. I'm not surprised they tried. I honestly am surprised it took them this long.
Yeah, I agree that it's, and I think one of the big things is that because of med school, like I've been joking about med school and how much I enjoy it, but the finale of Scrubs was kind of perfect, even though at its base level, it definitely suffers from some of the same missteps that How I Met Your Mother did in their finale. Like getting JD and Elliot together really felt like that show had moved away from it. So for the 8th season to be a race back to that status quo from the first season kind of felt whiplashy to me. I will admit that.
Yeah.
That's the thing to me.
Yeah.
People love that final season of Scrubs. It's why like they don't want to even acknowledge the 9th season.
You're saying it feels whiplashy to you, but you've openly admitted to just missing entire swaths of that show.
True. Right. But like coming back for that 5th season, that 5th season honestly felt like they'd moved past the will they, won't they with JD and Elliot. And I'm like, and I kind of like that. I kind of like them just being colleagues. So like for it to come back, like, I don't know, again, full admission that there's so much of that show that I have not watched and will never watch, right? Much to the chagrin of our third man, Will Fournier. He does not like that, like Scrubs is something that I'm like, no, I will probably never watch the 3rd season. I've watched episodes that feature actors that I like, but the 3rd and 4th season, that's my judgment on them. And also most of the 2nd season. They did not work for me after my imagination was captured by the 1st. But then what I will say about this reboot, the people that I care about in the reboot are not JD, Elliot, and Turk. I care about the new crop of fucking doctors. I watch these shows different, and I understand that. Like med school, right? Like it brings over Eliza Ku's character from when she was in it. Denise is her name. She is a big part of the med school season as somebody who like has worked at Sacred Heart and is now a TA at the medical school that they've opened as a spinoff. Like that's the other thing. It's weird that everybody hated Scrubs Med School when it was legitimately supposed to be the Frasier to Scrubs. It was never meant to be the 9th season. But the fact that it is now remembered as the 9th season is just weird to me.
But I don't think that that's on people's reception of it. I think that that is hugely on the way that ABC fucking got scared, like off of like the first few episodes not working as a spinoff, and then doing everything in their power to remarket it and like almost kind of like gaslight people into acting like that had always been the case. Right. The ways in which they rebranded that show so quickly and so fast, you almost want to think like, was it like the Mandela effect that we all thought it was a spinoff?
It was a spinoff. I will die on that hill. And also to the fact that like we're not counting it in the reboot. Because one of the big things about it being a spinoff is that Sacred Heart, as we knew and loved it, was torn down to be rebuilt into a more modern teaching hospital than it was. But in the first episode of the reboot, Sacred Heart is still Sacred Heart. That change never happened. And again, I understand why. I still understand why. But, like, don't act like it was the 9th season when you're like, oh, we're retconning this whole thing. Like, you don't have to retcon it. It was a spinoff. Spinoffs fail all the time. Nobody looks at the 2 seasons of Joey as the 11th and 12th seasons of Friends. It is a failed spinoff. They happen quite often.
Yeah, but NBC is also not packaging Friends as a 12-season experience with Joey, right? You know what I mean?
That's true. That is very true. I don't know. I just don't know. And then the other thing, and I'm waiting for the 4-episode test on this, but right now, it's weird that Bill Lawrence had 2 shows come out around the same time, because in addition to the Scrubs reboot, he's got Rooster on HBO. Have you heard or seen anything about Rooster?
Yeah, I didn't realize it was him. Okay.
Yeah, so it's Bill Lawrence, and I need the guy's name. This show feels like it was genetically created in a lab for Devon Decker. At the basis level, like, it is so much the things that I like. And then I went on so I know Bill Lawrence, and I've always kind of felt like he's writing stories that interest me. But the other guy on the show, I need to find the writer. Come on. Why is it so difficult?
Are you talking about Matt Tarsis?
Yeah, Matt Tarsis. Matt Tarsis.
Or Tarzez. I don't know.
Yeah, Matt Tarzan. I look back at all the things that he's written, and it is legitimately some of my favorite entertainment. This guy gets what Devon Decker wants to be entertained by. Let me just go through a couple of these. Sports Night, The Norm Show, A Guy Thing, Mad Love, Alex Incorporated, and now Rooster. The Mad About You, he did an episode of the Mad About You reboot. The guy writes the stuff that I really enjoy. So him combining with Bill Lawrence, which is not surprising because he had worked on 8 episodes of Scrubs. And I don't know if Bad Monkey is just him or if Bill Lawrence. Yeah, Bill Lawrence is part of Bad Monkey as well because he's just got all his fingers over there in the Apple TV pie. Matt Tarsis, damn it, you make people talk the way that I want to hear people talk on TV. Rooster, 3 episodes in, I'm a big fan. I will wait till the 4th episode to give any more. But I guess secret homework assignment, if you're listening to this, catch up on Rooster before next episode. Well, I've seen 4 episodes.
You have seen episode 3?
Yeah, I have. Why?
Did you catch that Braff directed that one?
Yes, I did. Dale pointed it out, but yes, Zach Braff did direct the 3rd episode. And it's good. I don't think it's my favorite of them. I don't know if I'd say it's the weakest of the 3 so far, but the first 2 episodes, real good. The 3rd episode opened with a joke that was so Devon Decker coded. I'm like, motherfucker. At this point, I almost feel like I don't want to center myself. I don't want to main character energy myself, but it's almost like, can we get this guy to laugh? Right? In the simulation. If I'm living in a simulation, Rooster's going to be how I realize it. Which says a lot about the show for a show I'm going to wait till the 4th episode to talk about.
Okay.
And then the other show that I've been doing is RJ Decker. They just did the 4th episode of that just aired this past week. And RJ Decker is filling the Magnum PI sized hole in my heart. I love it. The show's just so good. I just wanted to watch it because the guy's last name was Decker. I'll admit it. I'm a basic bitch. But watching the show, I mean, he's a private eye in Florida, and it's just so good. The mysteries, I've pretty much figured out every mystery at the start of the episode, but Scott Speedman as RJ Decker is such a fun actor to watch, and he's supported. It's one of those shows that came out fully baked. I knew so much about every character from the first episode, and none of it felt like too over exposition-y or overdeveloped. It just felt like, no, these are fully realized characters and you're dropping into their world. And those are the shows that really work for me. The last time I felt this way was probably NCIS Hawaii. I can't think of another show that just came out so complete from the beginning. So credit there if you're looking for a good like procedural that like there's a police officer but it's not propaganda. Like RJ Decker's pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's it.
All
right. The Rise and Fall of Reggie Dinkins. If you're not watching it, start watching it.
Yeah.
Are you watching it then? With that excitement?
It has been great bar fodder for me.
I don't doubt that for a second. It is. I was a little nervous after the first couple of episodes, but I mean, you have Daniel Radcliffe.
Where are you watching it?
I watch it on Peacock.
Peacock? Yeah.
Right. Daniel Radcliffe, I have been such a fan of his post Harry Potter. Not that I have any issue with I have issues with the Harry Potter franchise as a whole because of its creator, but it's not like I'd never liked him in those, but I like that he has not been beholden to this fact that I played Harry Potter when I was younger. Like, he hasn't allowed that to define himself. I love it. Right, I love that so much. The stuff he did on Miracle Workers, the film What If, and now him and Reggie Dinkins, it is. And then you also got Tracy Morgan, which, did I talk about Crutch last year? I feel like we talked about Crutch maybe briefly, but watch.
I don't think we got deep divey into it, but you're talking about the dramedy series that he was a part of, right? Yeah,
he was it's a spin-off of The Neighborhood. He's the titular Crutch. And he was so good in that show. And then to watch, it's such, Tracy Morgan has always been a phenomenal actor. Right? I will just say that right from the beginning. The guy knows how to act. But after his accident, there was some nervousness of if he would ever be that good again. Right? Think of him in Top 5. He's great in Top 5, but he does not have a lot of screen time in that movie.
Yeah.
Right? And it seems like it's difficult for him at that time. For him to do something like Crutch, which was so intelligent and he's the smartest guy in the room so much in Crutch, and then to watch something like Reggie Dinkins, he still has it. Oh my God. Tracy Morgan involved in 2 projects within a 12-month span, and he's knocking it out of the park. And they're 2 very different shows, and the supporting cast. I mean, I've always loved Bobby Moynihan.
I was going to say, it's not just, exactly. Bobby Moynihan is in there, but there's a whole bunch of other people in that show, right?
Yeah, Reggie Dinkins. One of the girls from Living Single is in it. Max from Living Single. I can't think of the actor's name, but she's kicking ass. It is. Reggie Dinkins is such a great ensemble piece, and I can't remember the last time that we've seen that because of all the weird restrictions we see on sitcoms where you can only have so many leads now. And of other people, they can only appear in 4 episodes in a season, right? The Bob Hart's Abishola effect. And how that show was you have too many lead characters. We're paring it down to Bob and Abishola. And if you want other characters, you can have any combination of these, but no more than 5 can show up in an episode, including Bob and Abishola. It was weird. So I like to see a good ensemble piece again. It's reminiscent of Animal Control that's able to have that big ensemble piece. It's that type of stuff. It really works for me. I'm sorry to get excited about it, but we haven't really talked a lot about TV because TV's been in sort of a weird place, but between the Olympics, the freaking winter hiatus, the Olympics hiatus, and now the March Madness hiatus, it's been kind of difficult to watch television with any sort of regularity. So like it's these shows have been like a breath of fresh air. Even a show that I like will say I felt was unnecessary, like the Scrubs reboot. So watch some TV. That's my recommendation for the week.
All right, man.
All right. Anything else you want to add to this one, Siege? Or are you ready to send it off?
Yeah, no, package her up. Let her go.
All right. So before I go into the usual spiel, if you didn't see it, we are doing a new style of episode called our quarterly crossovers, where we cross over with Say Report Jr., our younger siblings show. I crossed over with them in real life when we saw Ready or Not 2. Go listen to their episode, though. They got to see that together. I didn't get to watch a movie with my co-host this past week. That made me sad, Siege, and I miss you, buddy. I want you to know that. I like that we get to talk on microphone, but being in the same place as you is special, and I miss it. Being honest.
Miss you too.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, and we are going to be talking about a book about the Scream franchise. We're hoping to release that episode later this week, so just keep an eye out because that'll be out there for everybody. Yeah, with that said, thank you for listening to this episode of the Say Report. If you would like to keep the conversation going, you can join our Discord server. Invitations to join are available wherever we are on social media, which as of this recording is still Facebook and X, formerly Twitter. Though all of that is up in the air. Like, that is just a fact. Even the Discord part of it. So while if you're not on social media, you could always email us, thesayreport@gmail.com, and we'll facilitate you with a link to join our Discord server. The best way to get in touch with us right now is just by sending emails to thesayreport@gmail.com. And if it's for me, Devon Decker, or for him, Sejohn Sarwick, just put our first name into the subject line, and we will make sure that it is distributed to the appropriate Say Reporter so that what you want to say to Sejohn is only seen by Sejohn and not by me. Right? Like, there's some safety there. However, if what you have to say to Sejohn is something that Sejohn thinks is worthwhile sharing on the show, he might talk about it. Any submissions are subject to being discussed on the episodes of the Say Report. That's just how content creation works. With all of that said, thank you so much for joining us again. I'm going to go play some more Super Mario Bros. Wonders Nintendo Switch 2 edition. And William, you are going to bring us home. Wahoo!
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devon Decker and Sejohn Sarwick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.